Hola amigos, I'm Mittens the Mega Kitten, and I'm here to introduce you to a topic that's not very smitten. The infamous Mexican drug cartels is today's topic, which have been wreaking havoc in Mexico since I can remember. Which isn't very long, because I'm only a kitten. Well, I'm sure you've heard of the drug cartels in Mexico, maybe even a specific one, such as the Sinaloa cartel or the Narcos cartel. Regardless, join me Mittens the Mega Kitten as I explore the violent and dangerous topic that isn't at all smitten. The Mexican drug cartels have been battling each other and corrupting the Mexican government for decades now. The cartels have caused the deaths of hundreds of thousands of Mexicans, and since the year 2000, at least 145 journalists have been murdered in Mexico. The drug cartels are in the business of growing, artificially making, selling, and smuggling illegal drugs across the US border. The drug cartels in Mexico fuel the $1 billion global drug trade and are entangled in the never-ending bloody battle to stand as the most powerful cartel in Mexico. Because the cartels are in a constant turf war, Mexico is a very dangerous place to live and visit. And believe me, in Mexico, the police have been no help to minimize crime, because in Mexico, they are not to be trusted. The police may pull you over in Mexico, not because you did something illegal, but just because they want your money. But why wouldn't the Mexican police force act like this and not be motivated or be incentivized in some way to fight the cartels? Because the Mexican police force cooperates with the cartels through bribes of money, and through the cooperation, acts like another cartel. Essentially, the Mexican police force has become an extension of the cartels that is no help to the country. The police force is so bad in Mexico that I think that Mexico would be better off without the police. So now you know that the cartels are in the business of selling illegal drugs, and that the police force is also a plague to Mexico. But how do the cartels actually work? Well, essentially, one cartel is made up of a numerous amount of gangs, depending on how big or small that specific cartel is, and is united and controlled by the power of a drug lord. A drug lord is like a manager to their cartel. Cartels in Mexico have a power base, which is at the heart of the cartel. It is usually someone's hometown. A drug lord is the coordinator of their cartel, and if they want to be successful, they must successfully battle other cartels, pay off bribes to the police or bribe the Mexican government to allow them to operate, and must oversee and manage the smuggling, growing, and the artificial making of their drugs, all while paying the gangsters who work for them. On top of all of that, they need to ensure as high security as possible for their cartel to lower the chances of getting themselves caught like the very infamous drug lord El Chapo, and to protect their cartel into the future from other cartels. Even though this is a lot of dangerous work, a drug lord could become super rich depending on if their cartel is very successful in its endeavors or not. Most drug lords are not super rich, which makes sense since most cartels in Mexico are not as big as the Narcos cartel. But what motivates people in Mexico to have anything to do with the deadly cartels? Isn't there any other less life-threatening way to make a living or get rich in Mexico? Even though working for a cartel ranges from life-threatening jobs, such as making drugs in low-safety standard super labs, or engaging in turf war, people need money to survive in Mexico's bad economy, regardless of how dangerous their job is.
Uno trabaja para que coma. A veces se enferma mi hijo o se enferma mi hija. ¿De dónde voy a sacar dinero para el hospital? El hospital no cobra. De 1,000, de 2,000. ¿Y de eso dónde lo vamos a sacar? Tenemos que trabajar con ese.
The other options would be becoming a corrupt politician or coming to America. But if you want to stay in Mexico, becoming a corrupt politician takes knowing the right people and having the right connections, which most people in Mexico do not have. Now, although I said earlier that the drug cartels have been ravaging Mexico since as long as I can remember, it really hasn't been a very long time, if you compare it to the rest of Mexico's long history. The cartels have been causing violence in Mexico since the early 1980s. But before the Select Commission on Immigration and Refugee American Policy of 1978, the South American cartels, specifically the Colombian cartels, were where the prominent and infamous cartels were, not Mexico. The Select Commission on Immigration and Refugee Policy was a policy that tightened restrictions on illegal immigration. It was created to try and fix the bad side effects of Lyndon B. Johnson's Immigration and Nationality Act of 1965, which was created to reunite immigrant families at the border and bring skilled workers to the U.S. The Select Commission on Immigration and Refugee Policy was also created to decrease the high demand for drugs in the US. One of the bad side effects of the 1965 policy was that with looser restrictions on immigration, it was easier for South American cartels to have Mexicans smuggle illegal drugs across the US-Mexico border for them into the United States. This was nice for the South American cartels because, after all, Mexico had always been the gateway for the South American drug cartels to get their drugs into the US. But when the Select Commission on Immigration and Refugee Policy was enacted, the South American drug cartels were hit hard because the much more restrictive US border made it much harder for the Mexicans working for them to smuggle illegal drugs into the US. Now this sounds great, but of course the 1978 immigration policy had its own bad side effects as well. Two, in fact. One of the bad side effects was that, ironically, the demand for drugs in the US increased when the Colombian cartels were affected. The other bad side effect was that with the South American cartels being badly affected by the US, and how Mexico already had been the gateway for illegal drugs, and was so affiliated with the South American cartels, Mexico had the opportunity to take the cartels into their own hands. The Mexican drug cartels have been growing ever since. Although the current president of Mexico and the previous president both ran on popular anti-corruption platforms, Mexico still keeps getting more corrupt and more violent and more impoverished and more drug cartel infested. So don't be fooled by these Mexican politicians and their empty promises. Like the current and previous president of Mexico, politicians in Mexico just want to get elected, so they tell the Mexican people what they want to hear. That's it. The politicians in Mexico City know they won't be able to reduce corruption or completely get rid of it once they're elected, because they can't. Mexico is so corrupt that no one, not even the citizens, can do or get anything done in Mexico without being corrupt. Because let's be real, even though the official Mexican government still has a little authority over Mexico, the real government in Mexico is not the official government, but is the drug cartels. So that means that if you look at every drug cartel in Mexico as a small or big government, depending on how big each cartel is, then you could say that multiple governments in Mexico, varying in size, are in a constant violent battle for money, power, and control over their own country, Mexico, with every drug lord managing their own violent government. That's crazy. That is why Mexico is in a state of such turmoil. It seems that to I, Mittens, the only hope for Mexico would be if Mexico hit a wall. Like if the drug cartels would accidentally kill each other off, and if the Mexican government as it is right now would completely drown in corruption and leave room for a fresh new Mexico. Hopefully things would go better for Mexico from there. Thank you for watching this video. Please like, subscribe, and comment your thoughts. Bye!